Story recapped here. Today I'm going to explain a horror romance and thriller film called Rest Stop. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. A young woman enters her restroom stall when a man suddenly tries to enter her cubicle. After failing to do so, he abruptly leaves and the horrified young woman checks to see if the coast is clear. Just then the man attacks her and forcefully drags her away. Years later, as she packs her things, Nicole thinks about how her grandfather believed that everyone had personal demons. To her grandfather, it was the war. To her parents, Nicole is convinced that she's their personal demon. When her boyfriend, Jess, arrives, Nicole immediately greets him with a kiss. Upon getting in his car, Nicole looks at her parents' home one last time. Soon, they drive out of Texas to run away to California. During the drive, Nicole places a ribbon in Jess's car to serve as a good luck charm. She says she won it when she was 11, but her boyfriend jokingly says her mom probably gave it to her. Later, Nicole considers calling her parents to keep them from worrying, but Jess protests, saying no one calls their parents when they run away. Although she hesitates, Nicole heeds his advice and tries to enjoy the trip. After a while, they talk about actors, wherein Jess insists that every actor should do an intimate scene. Nicole teasingly places her hand on his crotch, insisting that any intimate scene he does should only be with her. As expected, Jess takes the bait, so he quickly parks the car in a secluded area so they can make love, not noticing a truck slowing down as the driver sees them. Afterward, they head back on the road. However, Jess receives a call from his cousin saying that they can't stay at his house because his wife is sick. Because of this, they no longer have a place to stay, worrying Nicole. Unwilling to be homeless for the night, Nicole tries to call her parents and Jess stops her. As the couple argues, the same truck from earlier almost hits them. Luckily, Jess swerves his car in time, but he angrily barges out of the vehicle to confront the other driver. However, the man only speeds away, so Jess returns to his girlfriend to reassure her that everything will be fine. They soon drive off, unaware that Nicole's ribbon fell off the car. After hours of driving, Nicole claims that they're lost, but Jess insists that they're heading in the right direction. Pissed, Nicole says she needs to use a restroom, refusing to do her business in the dirt. This annoys Jess, but he still pulls over at the next rest stop. Nicole heads to the restroom and finds that it's in horrible condition. Still, she gets it over with and heads to the nearest cubicle. Inside, she notices the vandalized walls that mostly talks about people's horrible experiences with a psychotic man. Nicole pays no attention to these and just washes her hands. She heads out but sees that Jess and the car are gone. Panicked, she runs to the spot and calls out to Jess, but the lot is empty, except for his unused cigarette on the dirt. Just then, the truck that almost hit their car appears by the road, but quickly leaves when the driver sees Nicole staring at him. Deciding to figure a way out first, Nicole shrugs it off. She tries using the payphone but finds that the cord is disconnected. She then notices flyers for missing people, making her worry. Nicole tries to ask for help in an RV parked nearby, but nobody answers the door. She checks the road and sees that the next stop is 60 miles away, removing her option of making it on foot. Heading back to the rest stop, she notices a camera flashing from inside the RV, so she desperately asks for help again, but no one answers. Troubled, Nicole starts to regret running away with Jess, wondering if he's her personal demon after all. Just then, she hears a vehicle approaching, and it's the same truck that speeds towards her. The truck almost runs her over, so Nicole jumps out of the way. The driver then tosses Jess's ruined phone to Nicole to let her know that he has him. As he drives away, Nicole recognizes the truck's plate number. Nicole immediately locks herself in the restroom to read the writings in the cubicle. The writings warn about someone taking their partners and running after them. Among them, the truck's plate number is scratched on the door, making Nicole realize that he's the suspect in the events written there. By nightfall, Nicole breaks into the abandoned ranger's trailer parked nearby, but wounds herself in the process. Inside, she sees a radio and tearfully calls for help. When no one responds, Nicole panics but tries to calm herself down. She searches the desk for any useful items and finds a liquor bottle. Hopeless and stressed, she takes a swig of the liquor before continuing to search the place. She finds an old TV and turns it on, only to find a mature video being played. To her horror, she recognizes her and Jess's voices as the video is a recording of their time in his car earlier. Suddenly, someone responds over the radio, so Nicole quickly runs to it. She immediately tells them where she is and that a man is trying to harm her. Hearing this, the man says he'll send the police over. Before he drops the call, Nicole asks for his name and the man says it's Jesse, just like her boyfriend. She finds this odd, but she shrugs it off. While waiting for help, Nicole continues to drink while checking the map she found on the desk, hoping to make sense of her location. Bored, she drinks outside, but after hours of waiting, the police are still nowhere. Starting to lose hope, Nicole sobs quietly as she begs for help to arrive. She then goes into the restroom to write her own story, noting that she found her personal demon. After a while, she falls asleep in the ranger's trailer and is awakened by a thud from outside. To her surprise, she finds Jess's car out in the open. Nicole quickly tries to drive away with it but notices blood in the car, thinking that it's Jess. Nicole sobs but pushes herself to start the engine but struggles to do so. Suddenly, the deranged truck driver appears on her side and speeds to crash his cars onto hers. Thankfully, Nicole makes it out of the car before he crashes it completely. Angry, Nicole confronts the man, threatening him because the police are coming. To her horror, the man plays the recording of her asking for help, revealing that he was the man she spoke to on the radio. Nicole screams in horror, and the man drives away, leaving her weeping in despair. Suddenly, the RV starts, so she blocks the driver's path to hitch a ride. As they drive away, Nicole finds herself catching a ride with an odd family. Nicole desperately explains how the man with the truck tried to kill her, but the wife disregards her and keeps talking about the weather. Meanwhile, her twin sons watch Nicole intently. Nicole asks to use the phone to call for help, but the wife continues talking about their troubles with the heat. The desperate young lady tries to get them to listen to her, but the husband who's driving just tells her that they didn't see anything. Realizing she's going nowhere with them, Nicole attempts a more casual conversation with the odd family. Suddenly, a camera flashes from a separate room. Thinking Jess is inside, Nicole goes to the room despite the family strongly forbidding her from looking inside. Still, Nicole barges through them and sees a deformed man in a wheelchair. Because of this, the wife starts screaming and cursing at her, telling her to leave Scotty alone. Nicole tries explaining her story, but the husband accuses her of thinking she's free from sin. He then recites Bible verses about angels arriving to smite the sinners while his wife raises her hand in worship. Seeing this, Nicole calls them crazy, angering the family, so they dump her back at the rest stop. After this, Nicole heads to the restroom and notices the paint peeling off the door. Noticing writing under the paint, she peels it off and discovers that the man with the truck has been killing people since 1971. While washing her hands, Nicole hears another young woman calling out from the supply closet. Nicole tries to open the door, but it's jammed. So she peeks inside and finds the bloodied young woman who introduced herself as Tracy. Nicole promises to help her, wondering if the truck driver brought Tracy in while she was in the RV. The mention of the truck driver triggers Tracy into a panic. When Nicole assures her that the man isn't there, she also mentions that the man also took her boyfriend. Hearing this, Tracy shares that the driver puts people in a yellow bus. It's where he took her and tortured her for so long. She adds that the killer told her that she got what she deserved, and she links this to when she stole money from her mother to go to a concert. This makes Nicole worry if she also wronged her parents by running away. Suddenly, they hear the truck outside, and Tracy screams in fear. To protect themselves, Nicole grabs the broken cubicle door and uses it to block the entrance. She holds it in place as the man bangs on the door. Soon, everything falls quiet, so Nicole peeks through a hole in the door, only to see the man peeking in too. Despite being terrified, Nicole demands to know where her boyfriend is, but the man doesn't respond. Instead, he sniffs through the hole, creeping her out. After a few more tries to break in, he leaves again. The terrifying encounter has Nicole breaking down, but thankfully, the man drives off. Later, Tracy keeps saying that the man will return and take them to his bus, where they'll be tortured. She notes that the only way she survived so far was by reminding herself that no real person could do so much harm to another. Thus, she believes that the man is a monster. Nicole reassures her that they'll leave the place alive. Then, Tracy begins coughing out blood, which quickly floods the floor. Horrified, Nicole hurries to Jess's car to get a crowbar and free Tracy. However, when she returns, Tracy and all the blood are gone. Realizing something, Nicole hurries back to the missing person flyers and discovers that Tracy has been missing since 1971. Driven mad, Nicole breaks down in the restroom and cries on the floor. Suddenly, she hears a motorcycle outside. Officer Deacon discovers the broken-in Ranger trailer, and as he investigates, Nicole runs to him, begging for help. Hysterical, she tells him everything, and Deacon reassures her that she'll be okay. She hears the truck outside, so the officer goes out to settle the situation. However, Deacon lets the man go, claiming that he's just a lost traveler. As Nicole tries to convince him otherwise, the truck suddenly runs him over. This horrifies Nicole, but she snaps out of it and helps the officer. Nicole tries to pull him out of the way, but the truck driver runs over his legs twice, breaking them. After that, he gets out of his truck and tows Deacon's motorcycle away. Shortly after, Nicole drags the officer into the restroom. As she cleans up the blood on his face, Deacon asks her to show him the picture of his family and his wallet. He shares that he yelled at his son the other day and regrets that those were his last words. Losing hope that he'd survive, he asks Nicole to give his badge to his wife and give his son a kiss. Hearing this makes Nicole cry, insisting that they'll make it out alive together. Just then, she hears the truck again, so she quickly barricades the door. However, the man only locks them inside the restroom. Seeing him drive off again, Nicole breaks down the keyhole and reaches for the wires that lock them inside. However, the man suddenly grabs her and bites her finger off, causing her to scream in agony. Later on, Nicole sits by the door, devoid of hope. To give her a fighting chance, Deacon tells her to take his gun and shoot the man. However, she doesn't know how to use it, so the officer teaches her. Shortly after, the man returns and bangs on the restroom door. Deacon urges Nicole to shoot him, and she does as she's told. Everything falls quiet, so she checks to see if she killed him. However, the man is still alive and wiggles his hand through the restroom window to drop a camera inside. Nicole immediately opens it only to find a video of Jess getting tortured. In the video, he says he's sorry and that he loves her. Just then, the man cuts off his tongue and Nicole weeps. After this, the man feeds a hose through the window and starts pouring gasoline into the restroom. Desperate to escape, Nicole tries to open the skylight on the ceiling, but she can't carry the officer with her, so he pleads for her to shoot him instead of letting him burn. With the truck driver already lighting a lighter and only 2 bullets in her gun, Nicole tries to figure another way out. Deacon, however, knows he's already dead. With no other way, Nicole forces herself to put the gun in the officer's mouth. As she weeps and shakes in fear, Deacon urges her to pull the trigger until she does. Blood splatters over her face and Nicole becomes hysterical upon seeing the officer's brain scattered on the floor. Despite this, Deacon wakes up telling her she missed. Because of this, he commands Nicole to fire the last bullet to ensure his death. For the second time, Nicole pulls the trigger, finally putting the man out of his misery. She screams in horror as the officer is finally dead. However, she doesn't have time to mourn his death as the truck driver lights his lighter on the window. Quickly, Nicole climbs to the skylight to escape, but before she leaves, she takes one last look at Deacon, only to find that he's no longer there. This makes Nicole panic, but she has no time to process it as the man drops his lighter into the restroom. Luckily, Nicole makes it out before the building explodes. Limping from the scene, Nicole spots the truck driving away, giving her a few minutes of peace. While resting, Nicole recalls when she decided to join Jess in moving to California. She told him that she was doing it to be with him, but Jess wasn't convinced as they'd known each other for so long. This made Nicole admit that she was just tired of being told what to do, insisting that she wanted to take control of her life. Hearing this, Jess told her he wouldn't regret running away with her no matter what happened. Now, Nicole realizes that they were both wrong. The truck driver returns, so she makes a run for it. He chases after her until Nicole stumbles to the side, letting the truck pass. The driver exits the truck and walks away, so Nicole runs after him and repeatedly smashes his head with a crowbar. After this, she turns him over only to find that it's Jess with his mouth sewn shut. As Nicole mourns over what she'd done, the truck driver turns the engine on and drives away. Upon sunrise, Nicole returns to the rest stop, deciding to fight back. She takes the whiskey bottle from the Ranger's trailer and fills it with gasoline from Jess's car. Then she uses her shirt to complete the Molotov cocktail. After this, she heads to the road and spots the truck heading her way. As the truck speeds towards her, Nicole struggles to light her makeshift device. Finally, she manages to ignite it and tosses it on the hood as soon as the truck is close. The truck immediately catches on fire and swerves uncontrollably until it finally explodes. Nicole walks closer to check but doesn't find the driver's body. To her horror, the driver is already behind her. Days later, more people visit the rest stop. A woman pulls over just as the camera flashes from the RV nearby. She heads to the restroom, passing the bulletin board where Nicole is added to the missing person flyers. As she's about to enter the restroom, the park ranger warns her about the wet paint. He adds that some drifters caused the fire, forcing them to renovate the place. The ranger ends his statement saying that he hopes they got what they deserved. After this, the woman goes in to do her business. As she's about to leave, she hears someone asking for help from the supply closet, so the woman alerts the ranger. When they check, however, the closet is empty. Unbeknownst to them, Nicole hides behind some janitorial equipment, badly injured and vomiting blood, while the truck driver is still free to roam the highway. Elsewhere, the husband from the RV buries Jess's body. Upon realizing that Scotty is recording him with his camera, he angrily heads to his room and reminds him that this should be their secret.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.